Hey guys, I'm JC and today we're playing Memnarch. This is a theft deck with a control element that looks to ramp hard and then steal the board using Memnarch's abilities. If this deck seems right up your alley, then make sure to stop by the channel where we have a deck tech as well as other gameplay videos showing how the deck was built as well as how it plays out. We also have a Discord group with a link dedicated specifically to Memnarch, so if you'd like to discuss the deck further, then make sure to check out the link in the description below. Let's see if we can steal everything our opponents hold dear. Okay guys, let's see who we're playing today. We have Xenagos, God of Revels, we have Inferno of the Star Mounts, and finally we have Marwyn the Nurturer. Okay, now we are going first, and this hand looks fairly solid. Mana Drain's a really good ramp piece as well as piece of interaction. We do have Copy Artifact in case our opponents are playing Artifact ramp themselves, which probably not from Xenagos or Marwyn, so maybe from the Inferno player. Not too reliable. We have Liquimetal Coating, so it's not a great hand, but I'll risk keeping it just for the Mana Drain. And we start the game by drawing a land for turn. So let's play our land, and then we'll pass the turn. Xenagos plays a land, and then they cast a Birds of Paradise. Then they pass the turn. Inferno plays a land, and now they cast a Goblin Welder. Tap, choose target artifact a player controls and target artifact in that player's graveyard. If both targets are still legal as this ability resolves, that player simultaneously sacrifices the artifact and returns the artifact card to the battlefield. And that is going to be it for them. Marwyn plays a land, but that is going to be it for them. And we draw an All Is Dust for turn. Going to be an absolutely devastating wrath for all of these decks at the table. So let's play our land, and then we'll pass the turn. Xenagos starts by casting a Fauna Shaman. Green, tap, discard a creature card, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. After that, they play a land for turn, a Kessig Wolfrun, and then they pass the turn. Inferno plays a land, and then they cast a Ruby Medallion. Red spells you cast cost one less to cast. And then they ship the turn over. Marwyn starts by casting a Leaf Gilder, and then they pass it to us. We draw a Mind Stone for turn. So let's play our island. Next we'll cast our Mind Stone, and then we'll cast our Liquimetal Coating. Because with that we're going to be able to tap and make any permanent an artifact, which is going to come in real handy with our Copy Artifact. A nice little synergy in the deck. So let's just pass the turn from here. Xenagos plays a land, and now they cast a Combat Celebrant. If Combat Celebrant hasn't been exerted this turn, you may exert it as it attacks. When you do, untap all other creatures you control, and after this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Now they move to combat, but they decide to pass through combat, and that is it for their turn. Inferno plays a land for turn, and then they cast a Chandra, Dressed to Kill. +1 add red, Chandra deals 1 damage to up to one target player or planeswalker, +1 exile the top card of your library if it's red. You may cast it this turn, and -7, exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may cast red spells from among them this turn. You get an emblem with, whenever you cast a red spell, this emblem deals X damage to any target, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. Now they uptick it, add in the red mana, and they deal the 1 damage to us. After that, they cast a Seething Song, add in 5 red mana, which is going to be enough to allow them to cast their Inferno if they want to. But instead they cast an Ancient Copper Dragon. Whenever Ancient Copper Dragon deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20, you create a number of treasure tokens equal to the result. Well, that might actually work in our favor really well. I think we've just found a target for our Liquimetal Coating in our Copy Artifact. And that is going to be it for the Inferno player. Marwyn plays a land, a Reliquary Tower, so now they have no maximum hand size. And now they cast their Commander. Whenever another Elf ETB is under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Marwyn, and tap, add an amount of green equal to Marwyn's power. And that is going to be it for their turn. We draw a land for turn. That is nice to see. We definitely have to make our land drops in this deck as much as we can, despite how much mana ramp we actually run. So let's play our land. Now let's have a little bit of fun. Let's activate our Liquimetal Coating, targeting the Ancient Copper Dragon. And now let's make a dragon of our own. And from here, we can now just sit back on our Mana Drain and see how the rest of the board develops. And hopefully we will get to use it on some big target, which is going to give us mana to cast our Chromatic Ori. Or if we absolutely need to, the All Is Dust. But either way, we've got options, which is always good. So let's pass the turn over to our opponents now. On our end step, Xenagos activates their Fauna Shaman. So let's see what creature they find. And they get themselves a Selvala, Heart of the Wilds. One of the most powerful mana dorks that probably exist in Commander. Next, Xenagos plays a land for turn. And now they attempt to cast their Commander, Xenagos. As indestructible, as long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, it isn't a creature, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is that creature's power. Well, no point in holding up our mana drain for Inferno because we can't counter it, so I think we actually use it here, just for the mana advantage. And admittedly, our deck does struggle with haste a little more. It's an unknown quantity, and I don't like that when I'm playing my mono blue control decks. So we counter Xenagos. Now they move to combat, let's see if they attack. And they don't, they just move straight to their end step, and then they pass the turn. Inferno plays a Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx for turn, which is actually going to tap for a good amount of red mana at the moment. Next, they uptick their Chandra, adding red mana and pinging us once again. And we actually have the Xenagos player conceding there. Okay, I'm not too sure whether just countering their commander was enough to have them leave or whether they're just worried about the Ancient Copper Dragons getting too crazy for them to be able to come back into the game. But either way, we only have 2 opponents left. It looks like we have a showdown of the monocolored decks. Red versus green versus blue. Let's see who comes out on top. Now the Inferno player casts their commander. It can't be countered, has flying haste, and you can pay a red, and the Inferno of the Starmount gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Whenever its power becomes 20 this way, it deals 20 damage to any target. Now they move to combat. The Ancient Copper Dragon comes our way, as well as the Inferno. So they're willing to make the trade with our Ancient Copper Dragon potentially. We're going to take the damage here. It is risky. Let's see how this Ancient Copper Dragon rolls. Let's hope they get a low roll. And they certainly don't. They get 18. So now they're going to be able to deal 20 damage to any target, which is probably going to come towards us. So we took a risk and we certainly lost there. Next, they cast a Jeska's Will. And they do have their commander out, so they'll be able to get both abilities, adding red for each card in target opponent's hand and exiling the top 3 cards of their library. They can play them this turn. Looks like they get a mountain, as well as an Embercleave. Now they use some of their treasures to cast their Embercleave. Next, they move to equip their Embercleave to their Goblin Welder. Now they begin activating their commander's ability, giving it +1/+0. So now they've cracked 10 of their treasures, adding 10 red mana. So they'll be able to activate their commander's ability now once it hits 20 power. And now they use their commander's ability to deal the 20 damage to our Ancient Copper Dragon. And that is going to be it for their turn. So we're in quite a bit of trouble here. We don't have enough mana to cast our All Is Dust, so we don't really have that as an option to us next turn. Maybe the Marwyn player has some way of slowing them down. Now they do start by playing a land for turn. Next, they cast a Gaia Sage. It has Evolve, and you can tap to add green for each 1/1 counter on Gaia Sage. When Sage ETBs, that triggers Marwyn. Now they cast a Deathbloom Gardener. It has Death Touch, and you can tap to add 1 mana of any color. And when that ETBs, that also triggers Marwyn. Now they tap down Marwyn for 3 mana, and then they cast a Sylvan Library. At the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose 2 cards in your hand drawn this turn. For each of those cards, pay 4 life, or put the card on top of your library. And that is going to be it for their turn. We draw a War Room for turn. Oh, and how could I forget? We actually had the mana from our mana drain. I just got completely caught up in what the mono red player was doing, forgetting we had that. So that's going to really save us here. So now we had 5 colorless mana. We'll start by playing our War Room for turn. Next, we'll cast our Chromatic Ori. Now we'll cast our All Is Dust. So thankfully that does get rid of all the permanents there. The mono red player still has access to all those treasures, so they're certainly not out of the game, but with only 1 card in hand, I'm feeling a little bit better. And it certainly does set back the mono green player quite a bit. It got a little rough there, but we're definitely not out of it yet. And we're going to pass the turn from here. Inferno starts their turn by casting a big score, and it looks like they discarded a Solemn Simulacrum. Draw 2 and create 2 treasure tokens. Next they play a land for turn. But it looks like they're just passing the turn from there. Marwyn plays a land. And then they just recast their commander. And from there they pass it to us. We draw a counterspell for turn. That's very good insurance in hand. So currently the 2 cards in our hand are making me feel very comfortable. We can try to cast Memnarch now and start stealing things. If it doesn't work out, we have protection, but we also have a way of refilling our hand if we need to. So let's start by casting our commander. And then we're just going to leave up mana to either counter a spell or activate our commander. Because now with Liquid Metal Coating, we can steal anything for 4 mana. So let's see if our opponents have an answer for Memnarch. Looks like Inferno is doing something on our end step. And they're casting a Volcanic Offering. Destroy target non-basic land you don't control and target non-basic land of an opponent's choice you don't control. And then deals 7 damage to target creature you don't control and 7 damage to target creature of an opponent's choice you don't control. And the creatures being chosen are Memnarch and Marwyn. Well, we're definitely not going to let that respond, so let's use our counterspell. So that does go down, but now Memnarch is exposed to removal. If these guys have anything else, and it's probably going to be the mono green player that's going to have an answer here. And Inferno just starts their turn by recasting their commander. And now they cast a Swiftfoot Boots. So very good card in this situation, at least buys them a little bit of time. Now they move to combat. Inferno comes our way. We're going to have to take the damage. And that is going to be it for their turn. Marwyn starts by casting a Mana Crypt. After that, they cast an Immaculate Magistrate. Tap, put a 1/1 counter on target creature for each elf you control. When that ETBs, that triggers Marwyn. And now they cast a Summoner's Pact. Search your library for a green creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. And at the beginning of your next upkeep, pay 4 green. If you don't, you lose the game. Well, they have 3 mana, so they could get themselves a Reclamation Sage here and make us pretty sad. But instead they get themselves a Beast Whisperer, just to turn on some more card draw. And then they cast their Beast Whisperer. That also triggers Marwyn, adding another counter. And that is going to be it for their turn. We draw a Training Grounds for turn. That's actually quite a good draw. So let's start by playing that. Now let's try to gain control of the Swiftfoot Boots. Let's see if we can equip it to Memnarch now. And luckily we can. But from here we don't have to steal the dragon straight away. We can just wait for them to attack us. So I think from here we just pass the turn. Inferno just moves straight to combat. They do swing at us with their commander. We'll use our Liquimetal Coating. We'll turn Inferno into an artifact. Now we'll gain control of it. That pretty much fizzles combat. And that is it for the Inferno player. Marwyn's upkeep, Mana Crypt and Summoner's Pact both trigger. Next they tap their Immaculate Magistrate, targeting their commander here. Now we're going to attempt to gain control of Marwyn. So we'll firstly turn Marwyn into an artifact. Now we'll gain control of her. That causes the Inferno player to scoop it up. They float 3 mana in response. Now they also cast a Return of the Wild Speaker. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, which will currently be 3. And the Marwyn player scoops it up, and that is the game done there, guys. Alright, let's go to the review and discuss what happened. Well, we managed to get there, but we got there by the skin of our teeth. On that turn where Marwyn had cast that Summoner's Pact, if they had just tutored up a Reclamation Sage instead of that Beast Whisperer, then we would have definitely been dead next turn to the Inferno player swinging in with their commander, so we got really lucky there. But luck aside, this was a really enjoyable game. It was a lot of fun being able to use our copy artifact on that Ancient Copper Dragon, although we didn't really end up getting to use it, and we really saw the power and utility of our Liquimetal Coating. The Inferno player also got to showcase just what their commander could do, which was impressive. If we hadn't taken out the board when we did, they would have taken us out next, and it probably wouldn't have been long before the other players followed. Well, that's it for today's video. If you want to see more games with Memnarch, then make sure to stop by the channel and check out our playlist where you can find all of the games for each commander neatly in one place. Until next time, guys.